way. All right, and 3. I'm gonna wait for this little blue bar to finish here. And 3, 2, 1, go. All right, hello Cypher community. We are live here with Dan. Say hello to all your friends in the gym, Dan. All right, wonderful. Well, we're just here to celebrate all of our member stories, and Dan has a unique story. He's actually relatively new to the gym and the Cypher community, and there's a great story of how kind of he adapted to this new lifestyle with the shelter. But yeah, just for the audience at home, Dan, could you tell them a little bit about, you know, where you're from originally and what brought you to the Bay Area, and then what brought you to Cypher?
Sure. So I grew up on the East Coast in the Philadelphia area.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually 10 years ago now that I got this opportunity to do this temporary assignment in Emeryville. And it just sounded really cool. I could go live in San Francisco and try something new. And I didn't have to pay for anything. It was temporary, so it was totally easy to just give it a shot and see how it went. I did it, and I ended up really loving it out here, and ended up permanently relocating, obviously. It's been 10 years now, and it's been great. So the past few years, I'd been living in San Francisco and met my partner, Michael, while I was there, and we wanted to buy a home, and we wanted something affordable, but also nice. And that's what led us to looking in the East Bay. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, we found this great place in Marina Bay, and we settled on that at the end of January.
Wonderful.
While I was living in SF, I had been going to the Fitness SF gym there. And that wouldn't have been a convenient gym living in Marina Bay. So I was looking around. I kept seeing CrossFit Cypher showing up on Google Maps, really
Right
close
there.
by, like super close. And I was like, what is this? What is CrossFit? That sounds intense. And,
like that was your immediate intuition?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, am I going to be able to do something like that? I feel like that's, you know, pretty challenging. I didn't know much about it. I feel like maybe I had seen people post about it, but they always seemed like they were doing this really intense thing.
Sure.
But the online reviews looked really good for CrossFit Cypher, and it was very encouraging. People were sharing their stories a little bit there. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to go check it out. Doesn't hurt. And so I met with you and Leslie and got to see some of there was a class going on, and it seemed like it was just very positive and energetic. And you guys helped assure me that actually you have people of all levels, and you were there to help me become familiar with all of this, and it would be totally doable. And so I ended up signing up for that 90-day intro right on the spot that day. I was still nervous about it, but I felt like, okay, I can do this. And I committed it to doing it, and committed to giving it my best shot.
Wonderful. How much was it like just seeing people there that kind of helped you get over the hump to get started versus like, you know, we had a meeting and a conversation. I'm kind of like, how much is it that you need to see a live example versus just hearing about how it works, and what got you over the line there?
Yeah, I think it was a little both. I saw, I think I came in as people were kind of getting set up, and they were chit-chatting and maybe stretching out, and I looked around and I realized, like, okay, it's not like some elite club or something. Like, you don't have to be it didn't seem that intimidating, you know. It just seemed like normal people,
like bros screaming and going Roar!
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I feel like this seems like this would be doable. That definitely helped a lot. And then also just talking to you guys, I was a little concerned about not being that familiar with lifting. Like I had never really done weightlifting before.
Right.
But
Right.
learning about the intro period and how I would focus on the forms first before adding too much weight was very helpful.
Yeah, and you've really taken to it. So prior to this, no experience lifting, some limited experience in Fitness SF, doing some classes or just working the circuits of machines they have there. Any athletic background prior to that even?
Not a whole lot. I guess I took martial arts when I was a kid. That's a long time ago.
Something.
That was something. Other than that, going to the gym and running outdoors, I had joined a running group, San Francisco Front Runners, while I was living in San Francisco. And that was a great experience. And that having that kind of camaraderie and seeing other people going after their goals led me to feel like I could do a half marathon. And so I actually ended up participating in 2 half marathons.
Oh, that's great.
In that time. And that was great. So I'd never done anything other than like a 5K before that. So
yeah, it's a great proof of concept that you can do those things and a nice ramp up process to get you there.
Build up to it. Yep.
It's a little simpler with running, I guess, but that's kind of what we do, is just kind of this on ramp that gets you comfortable, and then you can tackle bigger things.
Yep.
So just reflecting back on that process, like what was your moment where you were like, I can do this, or like just a bright spot of your fundamentals, basically? Because I know you went through the series of 12. Did you have any like light bulb moments where you were like, I'm getting this, or it's working, or your first group class? Like, where did it click for you that you could do this in your own experience?
I mean, I think it was a little bit rough at first because I wasn't even familiar with like how to use the barbells and stuff. Like, never even really used them.
Where does this go?
Yeah, I didn't even know. But and I mean, I was able to learn it and become more familiar with it pretty quickly. And just having the one-on-one coaching was very helpful to get the feedback on what I was doing. And it was always very positive. It was like, it wasn't like, the military or something where you're getting yelled at. It was like, okay,
it's garbage.
Yeah.
Try harder.
So I just felt like, okay, I can do it. And just getting that positive feedback on what I was doing and suggestions, constructive criticism to help me get better.
Compliment sandwich.
One thing that was really like so it was a little shocking when I did the initial analysis. So my body fat percent was like it was on the borderline of obese. So
that can be
I was like, oh my God, obese. Wow. And I mean, I knew I had a little bit of extra fat for sure. But when I saw that was a little wake up call. But the great thing was, like, within, I think, the first month, I had already corrected that and dropped below that threshold. And
so your 30-day checkpoint, you were like, bam, making some improvements. That's great.
Yeah. So that was very encouraging. And I know that I haven't been on the scale with the body fat measurement in a couple months now, but I'm sure it's probably improved.
Yeah, that's not the case for everyone necessarily. So we'll get into that, just like being consistent right now. But yeah, that's an amazing realization.
And then like another thing is I realized that certain things that work, I always considered simple, like push-ups and sit-ups. I actually realized that they weren't as simple as I thought. And they were hard for me at first, especially when you're doing them over and over. And if you don't have the form correct, then it's even harder to do them.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've gotten a lot better at these simpler things like burpees, push-ups, and sit-ups. I've seen big improvements there.
Yeah. And that definitely we're noticing that like right now, all the stuff we can do at home is getting a lot better for people that are doing it consistently. And it's all the
Yeah.
body movements, of course, and some of the simpler conditioning pieces. So that's great.
Mhm.
All right. So thinking about like where you were, because I know basically the timeline was such that you basically just finished your fundamentals. You've done like maybe a few group classes right when March 16th, the shelter in place happened. So really new to group classes. And right away though, we were like, Dan is on the Zoom classes like almost every day and super consistent. Do you remember that decision point and what your mindset was at that time that helped you move forward with that?
Yeah, I I think that the shelter in place was a little stressful, and I know I had done all this work to do the fundamentals and was excited to start the classes, and I was like, I can't let this drop off. I need to stay with this in order to get through the shelter in place. Like, how am I going to get through like months of staying at home?
Yeah.
Needed it really. I just felt like, okay, I don't think I necessarily thought I was gonna do them like every day at first,
Mm-hmm.
but then I started doing it, and I also realized like, oh, this is great. I can be doing work up until like 5 minutes before and then just go get changed and just
Right. Just flip a
get
switch.
started. So that made it super easy to do. Um, I had, I guess, also just like sitting at my desk all day at home, I just feel like I'm not even moving,
Yeah.
because I'm working from home. And I just felt like, okay, I need to do something. And you guys were offering this, and it just seemed very accessible
Mm-hmm.
and fun too. And it was nice to still be able to have the interaction with people outside of the little bubble of my house, which is just, my dog and my partner,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to still interact with other people
Yeah.
was also encouraging. So I pretty much, I think after the first week or two, just started doing it almost every day. It was almost immediate.
Right on. And it's since become pretty routine for you. Does it feel
Yep.
routine at this point? Like this is just something that is a normal part of your life? Obviously, you want to keep doing this indefinitely, but does it feel pretty sustainable on the showing up for workouts this way side?
Yeah, I would like to think that I'm trying to make it a habit of
Mm-hmm.
exercising every day, not necessarily CrossFit every day,
Mm-hmm.
um, but um, I think before I would, go to the gym maybe a couple times a week, 3 times a week, something like that. Uh, But I realized like if you being more consistent about it seems to have had much better results.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important for me to make sure that I'm staying active. Um, so I feel like it has become a new normal to just like I used to think about it like, oh, okay, I'll do workouts 3 times a week, and then I
Right.
would like, okay, today's my break
Rest
day where
days. Yeah. Yeah.
I won't do anything. Well, now you can, okay, maybe I really like that you guys like do different activities each day, so you're
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily using the same muscle
Mm-hmm.
group
Mm-hmm.
as the day before, so you can kind of keep going. And then also, I do things like running still, and we even have a Peloton at home, so I can change it up and do those as well. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's great to have options. And just like you're saying, there's like just a daily cycle that if you have the exercise, you get this whole stress relief component. And it's not just about getting better physically, you have an outlet. that's there and it's reliable, and maybe partly because that the exercise has been simplified in a way so things you can do at home. You're not as beat up. You're not doing as many like gauntlets of challenges, and you're like, I can do that again tomorrow. No big deal. So it's more like daily sustainable versus needing multiple rest days. So it's more moderate in its approach. And we're definitely going to learn from that as far as getting back into the gym too, just more digestible levels so that people can do it more regularly and more get more of those other benefits out of it. All right, what do you miss about the gym? Anything in particular, like movement wise, or just other things?
I think I definitely don't have like a proper setup at home. So
just turn around, spin your chair around, you're there.
Yeah, I have my backpack that I've been using.
The backpack.
So that's basically my
lifted.
my weight. And it's been like, you can't really even order these dumbbells online. They're all sold out.
We're still seeing all the back orders.
So I think I do miss being able to have like proper equipment. So that would be good to have that.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that, the Zoom is a wonderful tool. It's great that we have it. But being in person, like, I feel like you can get, better eyes on things and maybe get better feedback as well on what you're doing. The camera may not be at the right angle, and it's sometimes a little hard to see what's going on. So it would be, I think it would be better to be in person if we could.
Yeah, the way we communicate through like body language and through like being in different positions, and you can pick up on people's inflections and tones a lot more. I feel like the communication is a lot better in person on so many levels, not to mention just the whole experience of like, there's a lot going on around me rather than just this like two-dimensional experience.
Yeah, it's just this little window.
Right.
So it'll be nice, but it still has been great to have this option anyway. It's allowed us to continue and still get the interaction as best as we can.
Yes, definitely. Are there any things you're doing at home that you're like you feel like you're getting better at, or like you're surprised that you're enjoying it as much as you have with the stuff we've been doing at home?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gotten better at things like burpees and sit-ups. So I was like pleased to see that, because even when we first started, I was, especially with just sit-ups, like I would get through a certain number of them, and then just like I couldn't even get up anymore. It was like I couldn't make my body do it. And it's just I've just gotten better at it. I mean, I think doing all this activity over the past few months, I think I've gained some core strength, and I'm able to do it better now.
Yeah.
So that's great. And it is fun. Yeah. And I think even the backpack, I know it's a little silly, but it is kind of fun too, to still use these random objects.
Yeah, that backpack's gonna have a lot of story for years to come of all the things you've done with it.
Yeah, I never thought that I would be using it in that way.
Yeah, clean and jerk backpack. All right, well, I just want to say congrats again, because to be making progress during this time is like completely on the high end of what people are generally able to do. Like there's a lot of people that are just having a hard time just getting exercise in, but to be able to still like feel good about the progress you're making now is a testament to your determination to make this work as it happened and continue. Kudos.
Thank you.
All right, tell me about your food stuff a little bit. Have you been able to keep it together there, or have there been some like challenges of eating healthy? What's been going on there?
I actually feel that I've been eating healthier during this time than I did before.
Ah.
So it's odd, but I think I was eating out a lot. I mean, when I would go to work, I would always go out for lunch.
Ah,
Um, and now, you just don't really have that option unless you want to get Uber Eats or something, or pick it up and take it home. And then it just feels like, well, if I'm going to do all that, why don't I just actually buy food and just make it at home? And I think, we've been doing a lot more cooking and just preparing meals in general at home. And that, I think, allows you to have more control over what you're eating.
yeah, for sure.
And I feel like I made some changes. I also, as part of my 90-day intro, had the nutrition
Coaching it.
coaching element, and through the course of that, learned some tips on how to make little changes to
Hmm.
my diet, and I think implementing those has been great. And I realized that you can actually have very delicious food without eating junk food.
Yeah.
So and so making little changes here and there, I think if you don't make crazy adjustments, like, okay, I can never have any carbs ever again, no more ice cream, no more anything
Right.
ever again.
Extreme dieting.
No, then that's not good. But if you make little changes, which I've done, um, I think it's been very helpful to me.
Yeah.
um, I
Just that it's
think that
doable.
these habits will stick after I realize, like, it's not that bad to make your own meals. It's actually enjoyable. And if you're doing it with a partner, it's like, an activity that you can share together.
Yeah.
And then you also get to enjoy it. So, sometimes you might mess it up, but then you get better the next time.
There are no mistakes, just happy accidents.
Yeah.
To Bob Russlin. Yeah, I'm actually
Exactly.
cooking more than ever now too, and enjoying the process itself is kind of meditative. And I'm like, this is all that's happening right now. It's just working with my hands and creating something that I'm gonna enjoy, and then other people are gonna enjoy too. Definitely a lot of appreciation for that. And like you said, like it's not as convenient to go out because you're not out as much. So there's like a silver lining to this whole situation in that regard.
It's cheaper too.
Hey, you save money like so many levels.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, what's keeping you engaged positively outside of like the health and fitness space or regime? Neat. Good shows you're watching or other activities that you found to be really helpful to just like keep a balance of things.
Yeah, I think we've we've been settling into our new home, so doing things here and there on the house. We still have a lot left to do, and that's a great activity. You get a little bit of physical activity doing that too,
For
or
sure.
maybe even a lot, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
And it's all for your benefit, to make your home more comfortable to live
Yeah.
in. So that's been a big thing. Definitely play with my dog Stella a lot and
Oh,
take her
yes,
for
Stella.
walks. It's good to take a little walk around the block
Hmm.
when you need a little break, a mental break.
Yeah.
Um,
She's always game.
I also have started reading actual books more.
Oh, wow. Kudos to you,
So
sir. I'm still on just audiobooks.
yeah, yeah, it's like, oh wow, actual books. Um, and one thing I did, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna start out, you read like one chapter a day. It's like you're
Nice.
making it a habit because okay, if I just read one chapter, I could do that easily. And then you just do
Just
that.
bites.
Yeah.
At a bedtime thing or just like whenever?
Sometimes I'll do it at bedtime or on the weekends, sometimes during the day when there's more time. And it's good. It's good to disconnect because if you're reading a book, you're not getting all these notifications.
Right. It's just a different type of lens. Yeah.
It's good at doing some local hikes here and there as well. Not too many options, but there's still some great trails that are open.
Yeah, and we heard people going up to like Miller Knox, just by the point there. It's pretty nice. See the whole bay. Good spot. All right, awesome. Sounds like you got a lot to keep you positively engaged, and the home improvement stuff just like never ends. So you always have something to do there.
Yep, definitely.
All right, well, just reflecting back over this experience, you know, we're hopefully coming to the end of it soon. I know there was actually a live thing today that had a little bit about gyms in there I need to catch up on. But just thinking about the whole experience, is there anything you learned that if you could give yourself a heads up 8 or 9 weeks ago or whatever it is, what lessons have you learned that you would benefit from at that time or that other people would benefit from?
Yeah, I think one thing that's been important for me is like really to not focus on the weight necessarily, like especially being new to these movements and forms. It's like, okay, get the form correct before worrying about adding lots of weight. You know, even with the backpack or something, it's like you got to focus on, you know, keeping your body oriented correctly so that you're working the right muscles. And it's, in a way, it's kind of good that I'm using smaller weight now because I'm getting used to it.
Lots
without
of repetitions, yeah,
repetition without really risk to injury at all. I mean, it's not that much weight. So I think that's important. It's like, don't worry about, you know, you see people doing like 100+ pounds and it's like, oh my God, I'm only doing this much, but that doesn't matter.
It's out the window now. So it's like, yeah,
just
only the form to focus on.
Focus on that. And I think, you know, just keep, it's like when you're in the middle of these workouts, it's like you start getting tired and it's like, okay, it would be easy to just give up. But then it's like, you know, it's not that long. And these workouts are typically 15 to 25 minutes, something like that. And it's like, just keep pushing as hard as you can and get to the end. Then you rest. And then you get this more intense activity for a short time. Just push yourself, do the hard work, and then it's over, and then you feel great afterwards.
Yeah, for the full next 24 hours.
Yeah, so
that's great. And I think the metaphor of that applies too right now. It's like we don't have a lot of control over the outcomes, but we can decide how we're going to engage in the process, just focusing on the form of how we're living right now.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely that's a great reflection, and how you do your workouts is how you can live your life too, and just focusing on what you can control.
Exactly. There's way too much that we can't control.
So. That's being definitely highlighted right now. And you know, you have a way now to engage positively around your health through this time that I think you know I've learned a lot that I can carry forward, and I hope it stays the same for you. Like when we can reflect back on this time, and it's like, as hard as it was, like I think it was an opportunity for me to improve and get better in these ways that I can carry forward. So I'm excited for that too.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, well, I really appreciate your story and just like your consistency. I think people need role models right now too, and you're a great example of how you're engaging successfully with this and staying on it and even making progress. So kudos for that again.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or shout outs to anyone in our community you'd like to share?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think that you guys are awesome for basically immediately starting these Zoom workouts. A lot of people didn't do that. You guys were already preparing for it ahead of time. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And a lot of gyms just basically said, okay, we're closed. and that's it, or they gave you like a link to some just YouTube videos that you can watch. You
Yeah.
guys have continued to do this, and it's been really helpful and staying engaged with us. And then
Thank you.
also, so thanks for that. And then also some other people, Sam and Javier and Meryl, who've been on a lot
Yes,
of these workouts.
your Zoom
Um,
regulars.
yeah, there've been others too, but they've been on a lot of them with me.
Yeah.
And then the coaches, Alfredo, Diego, and yourself. It's just nice to still feel connected
Yes,
to
I still
people.
feel the
So
community too, even though I
yeah,
haven't seen a lot of these people for months now.
yeah. So appreciate that. It's nice to feel like we're still in this with others and we're not just all on our own.
Mhm.
So I really do appreciate that.
Fantastic. Well, this is a great story to carry forward. We're really looking forward to taking it to the next phase of getting back into the gym. But thank you so much for staying engaged and setting a great example of how people can make the best of this right now and continue your story with us soon.
All right, awesome.
All right, Dan, it's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure talking to you. Have a great rest of your day. All right.
You too.
Take
Thanks.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.